Well, I got a Facebook user on there. I don't know what your name is, but hello to you. Mark Coleman, good evening, bud. Scott, good evening. Hey, can you guys hear me and see me all right? We got some bad storms coming through again tonight, and my Wi-Fi is down to hardly about nothing. So hopefully everything's going to be all right. Perfect, Mark. I appreciate it. That's what I've been doing here, doing a speed test on my Wi-Fi. I mean, it is way, way down, but we had some bad storms come through last night, early this morning, tore a bunch of stuff up, and more tonight. So, Kevin, Brian, good to see you on here. Mark, Mark Lubick, good to see you on here, bud. Let this fire up a little bit. Get a few people on here. Brian, good to see you on here, bud. Loud and clear. I'm glad to hear that. I was kind of afraid of it tonight. Jason, good to see you on here, bud. I was wondering, Kevin, I knew that the storms were heading your way. I'll tell you what, it was horrible here last night, but south of us, tornadoes, everything. Southern Illinois got hit hard, destroyed houses everywhere. We had a lot of wind, a lot of rain. I don't know how many inches of rain we got, but it's standing water everywhere. And dropped about 40 degrees today. It's supposed to be freezing in the morning with a chance of snow. There goes our mushroom hunting. Roger Neal. Good to see you on here, bud. I hate to hear that, Kevin. Let's give her a few more minutes and we'll fire this thing up. It's losing service on my end. So hopefully we can do this thing, guys. We might ought to get this fired up and get it going, just to see what it's going to do here. It's throwing me off Wi-Fi. But I apologize for the lack of Wi-Fi tonight. Yeah, these new hats are available online right now. The new leather bill hats. You know, we got these leather bill hats many, many years ago. Nice hats. These here are actually a lot better. I really like these hats, a lot better quality. Man, they are, you know, the old ones had kind of a rust spot on the inside where a seam was at. Every once in a while you get one that kind of hurt your head right there in the center. These here do not have that. I mean, they're nice. So we just got them, and we actually got, I have to look on there while the Wi-Fi is working. Let's just see here. See if the new shirts made it online yet. I know they've been working on some. We'll see. One good thing, guys, the kitchen sink's out now. We got the bags, and they're full and shipping out already. So the kitchen sink, everything but the kitchen sink is going very, very well. Okay, we got the new leather bill, a leather patch Richardson hat. It's got a leather Antler King patch on it. We got the 16-quart cooler. The blue and white caps are back in stock. And I do not see the new shirts on here yet, but the new leather bill hats on there and the no trespassing signs are back. So maybe the new shirts haven't came back in yet. Chris Harper, good to see you on here, bud. Kenzie Davison, you didn't get one? Your mom's supposed to gave you one. I left her 5 of them for you. I'll get you one. I got plenty of them here. You just have to come and see us. Tad, he's wanting to know how many mineral sites would you have on about 150 acres. You're looking about 1 mineral lick site per 40 acres. So that's what, when we go out, we test everything, deer farms, in the wild, high fence, low fence, outfitters. We have found in our testing facility that 1 lick per 40 acres. And I want to tell you something right now, Tad, you do not need to overdo these minerals. That's why I'm not a salesman, because I'm going to tell you not to buy as much as you're probably thinking you need. A lot of companies are going to tell you to pour it to them. 99% of the time you're pouring it to them because it's high in salt. Good mineral, you're low in salt and high in trace minerals and vitamins. So with me, I take a 20-pound trophy deer mineral and I will put it in the spring of the year. And then I will go back about June and put another 20-pound on it. 40 pounds per lick for the year. That's all I do. That's all I highly recommend. So don't go out there and put it on there every month. You don't need to do that. All right, since we got internet service, let's fire this thing up here. See what this storm's going to do to us. Springtime perennials. I know we talked about it a lot here lately. Looking at your springtime perennials, your trophy clover mix, your game changer clover, you're looking at, I got to stop right there. I just seen something pop up here, guys. Scott's asking, do I use trophy rocks? Nobody, I do not, because they are just a salt block. There is no nutritional value at all in a trophy rock. So I only use products that actually have a nutritional value. Actually, too much salt is actually bad for a deer. And them are 100% salt blocks, or rocks, I should say. So no, I do not use them. But going back to that, we're talking our trophy clover, our game changer clover. We're looking at Booner Buffet. And getting away from the perennials, you can look at a spring planting of red zone, chicory for another perennial. Them are very good ones to get going with. You want to stay away from the annuals for a spring planting. So for you guys out there that are looking for an area that has good sun, a good pH in the soil, and you're going to put the proper nutrients to it, the trophy clover mix is the number one. You're looking at 30% protein. You're looking at about 10 tons forage per acre and about 7 good years of full growth. The Booner Buffet, very high in protein. It's an alfalfa clover variety mix with some chicory added to it. You're looking 5 good years of full growth. And then the game changer clover, you're looking more for the guys that have the shadier backwoods plot, poor soil. Now, with this shady mix of the game changer, if you have, the more sun you get, the better the pH of the soil is, the more growth you're going to get out of it. So you look at a growth of, say, 5 inches tall with a 5.5 pH, 4 hours of sun a day. You go up to 5 hours of sun a day, a 6.0 pH, you're going to double the tonnage of food right there. So the more you can do with that soil, even though it will grow in a shaded, poor soil area, the more tonnage you will actually get out of that mix. Scott, you're asking, what do you recommend for a good mineral? Trophy deer mineral is the number one mineral out there. That is the mineral that actually started this company. It's right here. And 27% salt. You're looking at 25 different trace minerals and vitamins. It's the way to go. It's the number one mineral out there. You look at our Lick Magic, it's more of an attractant mineral. It does have 11 different trace minerals and vitamins in it, but it is 55% salt. So you're doing more of an attractant plus a little bit of benefit, where with a Trophy Deer mineral, they're getting 100% the medicine they need. So that's why you always want to go with the Trophy Deer mineral. Or you can go with our Apple Burst block. I do have one back there. They're a 20-pound block. Works very well. So it depends if you want a block form or granular. I prefer granular. Now, going back to these perennials, you know, I did a post this morning talking about, you know, you start seeing the mushrooms pop up. That's kind of a telltale sign that the ground temp's getting warm enough for clovers to germinate. So even though you're seeing them clovers come back to life in an existing plot, the ground temp is still too cold to germinate a new seed. So you want to get that warmer ground temp. The seeds will lay there dormant. You can plant them early, just like frost seeding them. It does not matter. They will lay there dormant. But if you're looking to get in, work soil with the right ground temp, so they're going to germinate right away, you're looking at that 50 to 55 degree ground temp. If I'm gonna go out there and do it, I'm waiting until I probe that plot, and it's going to be right at 55 degrees. That's what I want. So, and that will get that germination process going overnight. Is start. And with these big forage clovers like the trophy clover, you know, you can go 3 to 4 weeks without seeing a lot of plants emerging out of the ground, because it's growing that real deep, long root system, and it has to fully develop before they will come up out of the soil. So don't get discouraged if you're not seeing that in a couple of weeks, or you're seeing real spotty. You got to give it time to grow that root system, and it needs plenty of moisture to do so. So game changer clover, same way. The alfalfa variety or Wiener Buffet, same way. You want that warmer ground temp if you're wanting to do it for the fastest germination and get it going. Now, red zone, the pea blend, soybean blend with peas, I like getting that 60 degree ground temp or so. The longer that seed sets out there, the more the turkeys are going to wipe it out. You can have some issues with Mother Nature with it. So you want to get that in about 60 degrees. You start seeing the farmers getting out there and getting ready to start planting their soybeans. That's a sign there that you know you need to get out there, get your red zone planted. It'll work out very well. So one other thing we can talk about here when it comes to these springtime perennials, like I do every show, proper fertilization. You look at clovers, alfalfas, you look at your peas, your soybeans, they only need potash. The more nitrogen you put to them, the more you're feeding weeds and grasses. You're looking at about 300 pounds of 0060 for optimal growth. That's just straight potash, 0060, about 300 pounds per acre when you plant or right prior to planting. The best thing you can do if you want optimal growth, the most tonnage out of them plants, stay away from the nitrogen. Now, if you're planting straight chicory, it loves nitrogen. You can pour some triple 19, triple 10, triple 12, doesn't matter, triple 13. It loves the nitrogen. Even though it's going to pull nitrogen up buried way deep down the soil through its root systems, it really helps that plant get going from the get-go and get it germination process and growing. Now, let's go with let's talk a little bit more about a non-perennial and not a food plot. Let's talk about a barricade, because I'm getting a lot of calls on barricade. I know we're talking about springtime perennials. We'll jump back on it, but the barricade, number one question I'm getting: when do I plant it? I got a lot of guys planting it way too early. It is here in the Midwest where I'm at. It's way too early to plant the barricade. The ground temp is way too cold. You never want to plant barricade until that ground temp hits about 60 degrees and a good solid 60 degrees. Again, about the same time you see the farmers planting soybeans, that's when you want to start getting that barricade in the ground. It loves nitrogen, so pour the triple 19 to it. It loves it. As long as you're getting plenty moisture, pour that triple 19 to it. But please wait till that ground temp gets a good constant 60 degrees before planting it. That's going to give you the best results, and it's going to grow like wildfire then. So You just don't want to be planting that stuff too early. But kind of back to the springtime perennials. Again, the trophy clover mix, that's your full sun, great pH, going to give you the most tonnage. The Booner Buffet, another full sun. It needs a very good pH just because the two premium varieties of alfalfa we have in them, they will not grow if your pH is too low. The clovers will that's in it. The alfalfa will not. So a lot of people will get a hold of me and say, hey, all I got is a clover plot, no alfalfa. Find out their pH and it's like a 6.1. It will not grow in a 6.1. It needs to be as close as that neutral level and that 7.0 as they can be. So make sure you get that as close to that 7.0. I won't plant any alfalfa unless my pH is a 6.8 to a 7.0. When I talk alfalfa, I mean a premium variety, not a junk variety, but a premium variety. I want that 6.8 or 7.0 before I will plant it. So that's the Booner Buffet. Game changer clover, again, shaded areas, poor soil areas, backwoods, logging roads, four-wheeler trails, works very, very well. Grows down in about 3 hours of sunlight. Now, its partner, the No Sweat, it is an annual, but it does have one perennial clover in it, a forage clover in it. This is a fall planting, but you can plant it in the spring. But I tell everybody, if you plant this in the spring, make sure you get back in there late summer and replant it because the deer are going to wipe it out through the summer months. So the only thing that you're going to have that's going to continue to grow is that clover, and the brassicas and stuff are in it. Them deer are going to eat it as a young growth just because you're doing a spring planting. So get that in the spring, let the deer feed on it all through the summer, and then come late summer, replant it again. All right. I see this screen going crazy with people talking. So let me make sure I'm not messing something up for you guys. Marcus Lee, good to see you on here, bud. It actually showed up there, man. It's a good thing Southern Iowa is getting a good rain. That's good, man. You're welcome, Tad. Get through here real quick. Now, I see a lot of people talking. Let's see here. Robert's on here. Like I'm like, with pre-freeze, was it okay with the weather in Wisconsin? Yeah, absolutely. But as long as you're talking about the clover, you're good with that. It'll lay there dormant, but you won't get any germination until that ground temp gets up. It's good to see you on here too, man. Yeah, in the woods, clover, 4 hours of sun, perfect. Mark's asking about what the three numbers mean in the fertilizer. I see Doug's got here nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. There we go. I couldn't get that out. Right. What's your thoughts about bentonite? Clay to seal a leak in water hole for deer. Buddy, I don't know what bentonite is or who that is, if it's a person or it's something else. I don't know what you're talking about, bud. Elaborate on that a little bit. But I did see a lot of people on here talking, guys jumping back and forth about mixing our Lick Magic and our Trophy Deer Mineral together. You can absolutely do that. The way I look at it is you got minerals here with the Lick Magic and a lot of candy and salt where you have all the medicine here very low in candy. So deer love candy just like I do. I mean, to me, this is Reese's peanut butter cups for a deer, you know? So you take the candy, mix it with the medicine, they're going to get the best of both worlds. So you can do that. And just to let you guys know, if it was, you get early in the year, a lot of people think deer hit mineral licks 12 months out of the year. They do not, especially in the Midwest. You normally see the consumption about mid-April till about mid-October, maybe into September, mid-October, and then they lay off of it. They don't need them. So don't get discouraged if right away this time of year, if you got minerals out, they're not hitting them. That is actually very normal. But with the warm weather we've had, they've been tearing them up here lately. Jason's asking, how would you mix it? If I was going to do it, I personally don't do it. I use Trophy Deer Mineral myself solely, and I have for 28 years. But if I was going to mix it, and again, elaborate that, my Indiana farm, not Illinois, because I can't use it in Illinois. I don't want people blowing my phone up telling me I'm doing something illegal, because I know I can't get that law passed. The Lick Magic, if I was going to mix these two together, the Lick Magic and the Trophy Deer Mineral, I'm going to do 1 full bag of Trophy Deer Mineral. I'm going to do half of a bucket of the Lick Magic. And then in the fall, I'll do another full bag, 20-pound bag to the rest of the bucket, the other half of the Lick Magic. So it works out pretty well. Mark is asking, how much potash did you say to apply to trophy clover? 300 pounds per acre is what we test everything out at for optimal growth. And it works very, very well. If you can't find any 0060, you can bump it up to about 400 pounds per acre of 02020. Oh, but yes. Okay. that makes more sense. But not clay. It is a pellet form. Yes, it actually seals very, very well. That's what you do. And as you're talking here, they use it a lot for sealing water holes and cracks and stuff in ponds. So yeah, it works very well, bud. Yes. I don't know what kind of what you're using for a water for deer, but as in anything soil related, it works very well. All right, see if I missed anything. But getting back to the perennials, again, like I've talked about it many times, with our perennials, you have our clover fuel, as you all well know. The clover fuel is actually designed for them legume plants. It's a 0028. This product is not designed to eliminate using granular fertilizer. You always want to use your granular potash when you plant, prior to planting, whenever. And then throughout the growing season, if you want to give that stuff a good kickstart, spray that clover fuel on it. I like using it actually with my herbicides. If I got to spray some select herbicides like clethodim or my 2,4-DB for my weed control, I'll mix that right in the tank with it. Even though it's a select herbicide, it is actually going to stun that clover, that alfalfa, them soybeans, the peas. It's going to stun them for about a week. I have found by mixing this foliar fertilizer in with it, it slows that down, and it makes it about a 2-day stress period instead of a 5 or 6 or 7. So I love using it for that. And then also just, I will always go in if the weather, now this year we've had the drought just like we did last year, but on a normal year where we're getting moisture, our bow season starts October 1st. I'll get in there about mid-September and I'll give it a big dose of it. You cannot overspray this stuff. You can spray as much as you want. The clover will only benefit from it. It's not like spraying nitrogen where you can burn it. the potash will not burn. So you can spray it as much as you want and get that clover exactly what it needs right prior to your hunting season. And at the same time, anytime you mow clover, you stress it. So you can get in there about a week later, spray it with some clover fuel, or get in there about a week prior to and spray it, and it'll really help that too. Oh, absolutely. 12-foot round hole. Yeah, it'll work good in there for you, bud. It'll work very well. Yeah, that'll seal that up pretty well. That stuff can do some amazing things. Let's make sure I didn't miss somebody here. But now for you guys wanting to plant straight perennial chicory in the springtime, which I love doing, I do it every year. The jolt fertilizer is actually the one you want to use on it. You can actually spray the jolt fertilizer prior to planting on the bare soil. So usually if I'm going to get in and kill an area off and plant my chicory like I will this year, I'll mix the jolt fertilizer in with my glyphosate or my Liberty. I use Liberty now. But you can mix it right in with your glyphosate and spray and kill the area off, get the fertilizer in the soil. I will still use my granular fertilizer, but I like putting that onto the soil prior to planting. Kevin's asking, what's my thoughts on using Game Changer clover to start a new plot by overseeding? Absolutely, bud. It's a very good mixture. The one good thing about the Game Changer clover is it's got 3 different perennial clovers, but it has 1 annual. It does have crimson clover in it. We use that for a nurse crop because the crimson clover is a shorter root system. It will emerge out of the soil quicker and it will help with weed and grass control. So that's why that annual's in there. But then after that, you're going to have the perennials come back year after year for about a good 4 to 5 years. So having that crimson in there will actually do very, very well. When I'm actually planting my trophy clover, I actually buy some crimson and I'll mix some crimson in with it just to help with some grass and weed control. It grows very fast. All right, I got guys blowing my phone up here, guys. Let's see. All right. Got John from Kentucky is actually wanting to know about red zone, our soybean pea blend. Red zone is actually, you can do it 2 ways. You have a spring planting or a fall planting. I used to plant a lot of red zone on one of my properties where I found I like planting in the spring of the year, and that's going to give them deer something to feed on throughout the spring and summer months, and they're going to have it pretty much wiped out come the fall of the year. So what I'll do in August, I'll go in there and just walk through that red zone. I won't tear the ground up. I'll just walk through it and I'll overseed my honey hole into it. And then I'll have my honey hole come up through. So I got the honey hole and plus whatever's left of the red zone. I will highly recommend, do not plant red zone unless you can plant a couple acres of it, because the deer will not ever let it get that tall, because they just walk through there and nip every single one of them off to the ground and keep it nipped down. Most people that have issues with red zone thinking it's not growing, 99% of the time, it's the deer will not allow it to grow. All right, let's see what I got here. I got another one here. So, John, I hope that takes care of if you're watching here, bud. Robert, bought a cultipacker from a buddy at the sports show. Can you separate chicory and clover? Can you separate chicory and clover? Game changer. Buddy, I don't know what you're asking. I know Game Changer does not have chicory in it. You can add chicory to it if that's what you're asking. or you can plant them side by side. But elaborate on that a little bit, and I'll get back to you. Jeffrey planted Game Changer for his very first ever plot, and it's doing well. Man, I'm glad to hear that, bud. I appreciate it. Colton, Robbie, Joel or Clover Fuel for Clover Chicory mix. Also, I planted straight. So in another plot, which is similar to an alfalfa, probably Clover Fuel on it. Clover Fuel on both of them. And the reason I say that, people get confused when I say nitrogen on chicory and Clover Fuel on clover, and then we got a mix like Trophy Clover that has clover and chicory in it. You want to feed them clovers because the clovers are going to feed the chicory, and the chicory is also going to feed itself. The clovers are going to suck in nitrogen from the atmosphere and store it in the soil that will feed the chicory. And then the chicory has actually got a very, very long root system, and it will pull nitrogen deep down in the soil, very deep down in there, and it will pull it to the surface, and it will feed itself. So your clovers and the chicory are actually going to feed the chicory itself. So use the Clover Fuel on it. When to plant barricade in central Missouri. Mother Nature is going to tell you that, bud. If you see farmers planting soybeans, that's when you want to plant it. Best thing to do is go out to Walmart, go into the kitchen area, buy you a little probe thermometer for a kitchen stove that will go down to 50 degrees. Stick it in the soil about 3 inches and read your soil temp. 60 degrees or higher, you're good to go. Under 60, do not plant. All right, what else we got here? You guys keep asking away because I got a few of them here. I got to pull off my phone, and hopefully might be something you guys are thinking about. I've answered some of these already, so I wouldn't bore you guys with all of them. Some of them I answered, and I want to go just like the red zone. I wanted to go over that, just kind of help you guys out if you didn't know, even though I already told the customer. Actually, Terry is asking. Terry's actually from Missouri. So he's asking, can he plant lights out in the spring of the year for the oats? Now, our oat variety, the lights out's an oat variety, but it's more of a brassica variety than it is an oat. You're going to have more brassicas in there, as in your turnips and your trophy rape, than you are oats. What happens planting oats too early, especially planting in the spring? If you want to plant them to turkey hunt over them, plant them, but know you're going to have to work them up after turkey season and plant something different, because the oats will grow up too big. They head out, get stemmy. They're no good. The brassicas are probably going to lay there and rot because they're going to mature out too early, especially the turnips being a bulb plant. They're going to get mushy and rot. So you want to plant them mixes later in the fall. If you ever think of a brassica, especially a bulb brassica, you never want them to mature out prior to a frost. So you never want to plant them too early in the summer. You want to plant them the proper time so they do not mature out before a frost, because they will get stemmy. They'll stay a little starchier than they should. If you plant them too early, they could rot. So Richard's asking, when does kitchen sink hit the market? We just got the bags filled, bud. We just got the bags in this past week, and they are filled and on the truck running around now. Robert's asking, does the chicory come back the next year? Yes, you'll get about 5 to 6 good years of growth out of that chicory. Here's one Jim's asking about from Tennessee. He wants to know, can you mow your barricade? You do not want to mow barricade. Barricade is a slow growing process anyway till it gets that third leaf on it, and then it grows like wildfire. You do not need to mow it. A lot of people worry about weeds and grasses that get into barricade. I did the first year because I want that catalog cover picture, you know. But I realized it ain't hurting nothing. As long as I'm feeding them enough nitrogen, it ain't hurting nothing. The weeds and grasses are getting thicker. It's just making more of a barricade with the weeds and grasses in it. So it's actually helping it and giving you exactly what you're planting it for. So I don't spray anything on my sorghum plants. You can buy select herbicides that you can spray on it, but I will tell you guys, you got to spray them at the proper time, the proper leaf out. If you're off a couple weeks, you'll kill the plant. So I just highly recommend let the weeds and grasses grow in them too. The plants are going to outgrow them weeds and grasses, but then you have a good thick base down there that's going to give you even more cover. Jason Buell. Good to see you on here, bud. I got a lot of people ask him when to mow clover. Can you let everyone know the best time to mow? The best time to mow clover, and the one you need to the most, is when it flowers out. When clovers actually put a flower on, that means they're matured. They're at the lowest protein rate. They're least digestible, least palatable. So you want to cut them plants, top them. All you got to do is take the tops off of them. Get questions a lot. Do I need to leave 6 inches? Do I need to leave 8 inches? What do I need to leave? It depends on the growth of your plants. A first-year clover plot might mature out at 6 inches the first time. Take the tops off. The next mowing, it might be 10 inches. Take the tops off, whatever. But always, when that plant starts getting up there high enough and maturing out, make sure that you leave at least 4 to 5 inches standing. If it's too dry, don't mow. If you can go out there and walk on that clover and it cracks and snaps over, don't get on it. Just let it go till you start getting moisture back in. So that's the prime time to mow it. Now, but you can mow clover, as long as you got moisture, you can mow it once every other day if you want to, just to help with weed and grass control. But if you don't want to buy any chemicals for it, and if you're having a weed and grass issue, but most definitely mow it when it flowers, if you're wanting the most nutritional value out of that plant for the deer. See what we got here, guys. There we are. Old Scott getting ready to throw down some buck forage oats. There you go. Get them turkeys going crazy. Julie, suggestions on what to plant in fall plots from spring until August. If I'm going to plant anything in the spring and then replant fall plots in August, I'm going to go with our Game Changer clover. Just because, and you can go with the trophy clover. It's just going to depend if it's a sunny area or a shaded area. If it's a sunny area, go with the trophy clover. If it is a shaded area, go with the Game Changer. But I like feeding the deer something that is also going to feed the soil. So with these clovers pulling in the nitrogen from the atmosphere and storing them in the soil, with a good spring to summer growth, you're looking about 9 pounds of nitrogen added to that soil, which is a lot. So by doing that, you're feeding the soil exactly what your annual plots are going to want to feed off of. All your annuals are going to love nitrogen. So feeding the deer the clover through the spring and summer months, working it under, that's actually going to put, if you work it under green, it's going to put even more nitrogen into the soil and some organic matter, and then go in there and plant your annuals, and they will thrive off that nitrogen that clover is pulled in there from the atmosphere. Old Steve Cooney, man, I miss you, buddy. Even though you stepped on me in a hotel room one night, I still miss you. Colton, I'm hammering my nitrogen to my barricade the day I plant. The day I plant, I'm pouring the nitrogen to it. So, and I'll tell you another little trick with the barricade. That Jolt fertilizer right there, it thrives on it. So what I'll do, I'll hit it with my granular fertilizer, my granular nitrogen. And then I actually have a boomless sprayer, just a single nozzle sprayer that I can turn the nozzle sideways, and I'll run my ATV right down the side of that barricade, and it spans that jolt right out on it. And I'll run down one side, go around and go down the other side, and it will really, that's where the one picture, I don't know if I have it on here. Let me look, see if I put it on here. I may not have. I have one of that 16-foot barricade. I do not have it on here. But yes, I have one that's actually 16 foot tall this last year, my barricade strip. It's unbelievable. And that was in a drought. Oh, Anthony's on here. Anthony, your game changer should be processed and shipping out, Bubba. Robert, you're asking if I'm going to be down at the Madison Sports Show this weekend. No, I am not, bud. I am done with the trade show spring season, and I'll hit the road back again in July, heading south down to Alabama and areas like that. I'll be up in the Wisconsin area a bunch doing some filming, but I will not be there at a sports show. Old Danny, glad to see you on here, Bubba. I appreciate you. Steve Cooney, I done something that you will not believe that I did. You're gonna probably want to come take my temperature because something's wrong with me. I must have a fever. You got that right, Steve. Them were the good old days. I miss them days more than you'll ever know. Every year I go to a show, I miss them days. All right, what kind of questions you got here, guys? We got like 15 minutes before they kick us off. I can keep jabbering, but I'd rather answer your questions. Chris, you got tornado warnings going off. You better quit looking at me and go look at somewhere secure because I can't help you from here, Bubba. It was good talking to you on the phone today, though. I can't believe my internet's staying on with the weather we got. Well, let's see what else we can talk about for springtime. I guess the old trusty thing is pH test kits. If you're not testing your soil, you shouldn't be planting. That kind of sounds like a commercial on TV. Huh. I'll get a second job doing that. But no, test that pH, guys. If you're not testing that soil, you'll never get optimal growth out of them plants. I'm telling you right now. Steve's talking about having the best clover plot. Use a zero-turn mower on the highest setting, then sprayed it like crazy with clover fuel. The results were beautiful. Absolutely, man. That's a good way to do it. And that's something we can actually talk about. People, you don't have to have a bush hog or a batwing mower or anything like that. I mean, you might think I'm crazy telling you this, and you might think I'm just blowing smoke up your butt. I actually have 3 customers that mow clover plots with push mowers. One of them is a half-acre plot, and I've seen video of him doing it. And all 3 of them have put lift kits on their 22-inch push mowers, not self-propelled, 22-inch push mowers. They put angle iron down, bolted the tires to them so they can mow 8 inches high, and they will do a half-acre food plot with them. Now they're wore out when they're done, but they get it done. So I got guys that use weed mowers. I got guys who use weed eaters, garden tractors, zero turns. I do a lot with zero turns. So you don't have to have big mowers to mow clover. Glad you brought that up, Steve, because that's a pretty good little tip there. Don't think because you don't have a big mower or a batwing mower that you can't take care of your clover. And a lot of your small clover plots, you get into a small quarter-acre back in the woods, a game changer. 99% of the time, the deer are going to keep it mowed down for you. You'll never see it flower because the deer are keeping it nipped down. So, Kevin, see right there, you're talking about you mowing with a push mower. You got 4 half-acre plots. You mow every year with a push mower. That is awesome, man. Doug, you use a weed eater? I know it. It all works good. Chris, you're asking what stores everything with the kitchen and sink is going to be in. I can't tell you that right now. I'd have to get with the sales team. I know at the ATA show, there was a lot of orders placed from the big box stores. But I never know that information until I ask them, just because the sales team does all that, and I'm not a part of that. So, I mean, I can find out, but I know a lot of the stores, a lot of them, if you see Rackmaker and Deer Nut Pellets in, or one or the other, they're going to have kitchen sink, because most of them are wanting to try it out. It's a good one. All right, let's see what we got here. Robert's asking, if you only have one main food plot, do you hunt directly over it or around it? I hunt around them, but I don't hunt over my food plots hardly at all anymore. Main reason is I can't get out at night without booger and deer, because I always got deer on the food plots when I want to get out. And over the years, in my younger days, I've spooked a lot of deer out of food plots trying to get down. If I do hunt over a food plot, I always take a coyote caller with me, a howler that I can blow on, and I will howl. I'll wait till it gets pitch black dark, and then I'll take that coyote howler and I will howl on it, and to blow the deer off the field and hurry up and get down and get out of there. But I hunt mostly, about the closest I hunt, except for one blind, the closest I hunt tree stand wise is probably about 150 yards off the plot. I hunt their travel corridor going to and from it. So it's just too easy to booger deer. You booger a big mature buck, it's done. So Roger Neal's mowing his micro plots with a push mower. I mean, that's the way to do it. Any way to get it done. Robert's asking, how many food plots should you have? When we test for the nutritional side on deer, we have found 5 to 10% of your property should be in food. And that is a mixture of high protein and high energy. I know that's hard to do on some properties, but that is where we found the most nutritional value and the healthiness of the deer. So the more you can give them, the better the benefit is, and the most likely they're going to stick around. If them deer have food, water, and shelter, security, I guess I should say, not shelter, food, water, and security, they're going to stay close. Brian, good to see you on here, bud. Playing red zone in the springtime after that ground temp gets over 60 degrees is an awesome time for an early season. I mean, the springtime through late summer. Then you're probably going to have to broadcast something over into it if you have very much of a deer herd there, because they will devour it, just like they do any kind of soybeans or peas. But I walk through, like I was saying earlier, I'll walk through with some honey hole about that second weekend of August, right through that red zone, to get all that high energy up in it. Ted, good fall plot mix in a shaded logging lane. Got about 1/8 of an acre of game changer out in other spots. I would go with the no sweat, bud. That no sweat is going to do the best for you, give you the most tonnage, a lot of good high energy food in it, and it will grow down in that shaded area. I would definitely go with something like that. Oh, Brandon, good to see you on here, bud. Scott got a 52 Ford. I got a 48 8N. I love them old 8N Ford tractors. 4-foot bush hog, it does perfect. Steve, you're about like me. You're always focused on having a great clover plot. Drawing power all year was long run, but yeah, absolutely. You cannot beat a good forage clover plot like the trophy clover mix. I mean, if I could only plant one thing, and I know that deer need a high energy food source to fatten up after a rut, and you're only getting mostly the protein out of them clovers, I would still pick the trophy clover for the draw of the deer. I would if I only could plant one thing. You need both, but if I can only plant one, it'd always be trophy clover. Tad, you're very welcome, bud. Did I miss anybody here? Got a few minutes left here, guys. Ask away, or I'll make something up here in a second. Oh, actually, I do got another question here from somebody. I forgot about that. Should have wrote these down. One of them was actually from Keaton. Keaton was actually asking about the clover fuel we discussed a little bit earlier, wanting to know how many times to spray clover fuel on your clover plots throughout the year. I highly recommend 2 doses. You can spray it as much as you want, like I said earlier. And I want to wrap very much just because I've already let him know the answer, and we have already talked about it. But you can spray it as much as you want for the benefit, but at least a couple times a year works out very well. And again, it does not take the place of granular fertilizer. Here's actually a good one right here from Mark. Mark is actually from Iowa there. Plot Max. He's asking about the Plot Max. And he's asking, can he use this instead of using lime? If you read about our Plot Max, it will tell you that it will increase the pH, but it is very, very short-lived. It is not made to increase the pH and do away with using lime. So this is humic acid, which humic acid, again, will spike the pH, very short-lived, but the humic acid is actually going to get in and work and break down the soil to allow the nutrients that are stored in that soil to adhere to the root system better. So more food for the deer, or for the plant. So it is not a so-called liquid calcium. It is a soil conditioner to help break down the soil. And 1 bottle will do a half acre. Where'd I miss you at, Doug? Where you at? I'm going back up looking. Doug, I see where you use a weed eater. I remember seeing that. What am I missing, bud? All right, Doug, I think you're going to have to tell me again because I'm not seeing nothing on here, Bubba. I'm seeing where you're helping me out a lot and talking to a lot of people. Well, just let me know again, Bubba. Oh, joke. Okay. All right, Robert, what do you plan when you have soil that's a mixture of sand and heavy dirt? Or what do you plant? Soil, I mean, if I got a very sandy soil, if you're looking at a springtime planting, I'm going with Game Changer Clover. If you're looking for a good annual, the Slam Dunk. Slam Dunk, the radishes, or just straight radishes, tubular radishes love a sandier soil. So that lumier soil, sandy soil mix does very, very well in it. And the Southern Greens will actually work very well in it too for an annual, for a fall planting. Don's on here. Upper Peninsula information is always great. Thanks. Hey, I appreciate it very much, Don. Anytime, bud. I'm glad to see you on here. Colton's asking, spray jolt once on the fall annual plots. You can actually, again, with the jolt, you can spray it as much as you want. I would give it at least 2 weeks between sprayings. But I usually hit mine 2 or 3 times. If I'm getting plenty of moisture where the plants are not gone dormant because of a drought, I'll hit it a couple good times. Actually, I'm usually in that 3 time. Usually trying to get about three good sprayings in on them. No problem, Robert. You're driving and watching this. I don't know. I don't know if I should feel important on that you're taking a chance of driving and watching me or what. But I appreciate it, bud. And it was good seeing you at the show too, man. Mark Coleman, absolutely. Southern Greens is by far turning into one of my favorite mixes. I mean, it's phenomenal. I look at going, I plant honey hole and slam dunk. I plant a lot of it. I mix them 2 together. I've had for over 20 years. I love them. The Southern Greens, I started adding more and more. And I started taking away actually some ground from my honey hole and slam dunk and planting more Southern Greens. This year, my daughter's deer, one of my deer, both of Stacy's deer, all came off of Southern Greens. My other deer came off Trophy Clover, but all the mother deer all came off that Southern Greens. And I have a plot that actually has Southern Greens, little dip, honey hole slam dunk. You got clover down the bottom, go into a creek, go up the other side, and game changer clover on a power line over there. And then deer will always hit that Southern Greens first before they cut across to go in. Some of the deer will actually hit the Southern Greens instead of going over 85 yards and getting into the honey hole and the Trophy Clover. They turn, walk the edge of the field out to their big ag fields out there. So I really, really love that mix, especially for an early season draw. Colton, you're very welcome, bud. Doug, I appreciate it. I'll get a hold of you if you need something, man. Robert, I appreciate that. All right, guys, we're going to kick us off in about 2 minutes. Throw me a couple of end questions here, and we'll call it a night. In 2 weeks, we'll fire this thing back up. We may even have a special guest on next week, or in 2 weeks. But I ain't saying who it is. So don't even text me. Don't call me, because I'm not going to say till I know for sure. But I will post it. Depends on how many turkeys they get shot. All right, guys, we're going to get off here. They're getting ready to shut us down here in 1 minute. So I hope you guys had a good night. Hope you learned something. If you need anything, give me a holler. Message me on Facebook. Email me, call me, text me, whatever you want to do. So have a good night, and we'll see you here in a couple of weeks. Take care.